sick. Some of them will die from, like I said earlier, we just solve the immediate problem. We solve the problem even for the immediate future.
Yeah.
You know, every time you give, your resources go to giving someone hope for the future. For example, giving them free life-changing surgeries, cleft lip and palate and eye surgeries that they may not have been able to afford. And you, our 700 Club partners, made this happen. Thank you for making a difference in Miracle's life and also giving Mariam a new home. When you give to the 700 Club, you can see what your resources have been used for. You also get to hear the beneficiaries say a big thank you.
You know, we thought to share a little bit of what we do at the CBN, aside our various television programs. We wanted you to see the people who needed your help and how you stepped in to help them when you gave because you're a 700 Club partner. Felix and I are both partners with the 700 Club, and I can tell you it gives us so much joy to do this monthly. So if you're not yet a partner, we would like to encourage you to do so and see how your giving will change the lives of people.
It's very easy. All you have to do is give and then call us using the number showing on your screen. Tell us you want to partner with the 700 Club, or better still, visit our website and click donate. Then you go ahead and choose your preferred category, or send us an email using the details showing on your screen.
And that's all it takes to be a partner with the 700 Club. So this is where we come to the end of the program today. Thank you for allowing us share what we do with you. And thank you for being my guest today.
It's an honor to be a
fun.
guest on Heart to Heart.
It was fun. And it was also good to see you on some of the videos. Thank you for what you do.
Thank God.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Delta Television, and on behalf of the board, management, and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, I welcome you to Friday's edition of the Morning Ride, the last edition in the month of February 2025. Yes, because today is also the last day of the month, the 28th day in the month of February. My name is Ogaga Ekama, and I'm not alone. I've got Perpetual Igboba here with me. Good morning, Perpetual. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning, Ogaga.
How would you say the month of February was for you?
The month of February has been beautiful, busy, very, very busy, if I may add, but in all, it's been really, really good.
Financially busy.
Busy, not financially busy. Let's leave the specifics out of it, but very busy.
Let's leave the specifics.
Let's leave the specifics.
Okay. Perpetual likes keeping her stuff private.
Very.
Okay, so what do you think? Do you think the month was fast?
To me, January and February were really fast compared to other years. Like, they were really, really fast. I don't know. But I heard some people complain, but to me, it just went like really, really fast. Like, where are we heading to? Was it not yesterday that we were shouting Happy New Year, Happy New Year, and right now we're in
No,
February.
it's like 2 months down already.
Exactly. So where's the year running to?
Well, how was the week for you generally?
The week was good. Busy too, but in all it was really, really good.
Alright, so today we've got an array of interesting lineup for you. We've got the safety corner, and also we'll be reading out newspaper headlines for you, and our analyst is already in the studio. Then also we're bringing to you a guest interview. You don't want to miss it because it will be very, very important for you to participate in that. During the course of the week, lots of things have happened, from Lagos State to tariff hikes, talking about multi-choice, and also there's also good news regarding Premium Motor Spirit, as Dangote Refinery decided to slash their price by 65 naira. What do you think about that?
It's a step in. Okay, I love that implementation. It's a step in the right direction, but I just pray that other fuel stations will take a cue from what he's doing and also slash the rate, because people are not finding cost of living funny anymore. So I really love what he did, honestly.
Okay, I don't think that the fuel stations really have an alternative as it were, because it's not like it's a petrol station, it's the refinery that supplies the petrol station that took the so if your lifting cost has dropped, of course the rate of your sale should drop as well.
As it should be, but
Yes.
the question is how implementable is it going to be? Are others going to key in? That's the question.
Yeah, I believe they will, because I think I think it was the NNPC that did that a couple of weeks ago, and it reflected in across different. So mine is beyond the fuel stations, because there are some particular fuel stations that actually align with these. Mine is with the transportation. It's the same issue I have with when they talk about dollar, because truth is, when cost of petrol goes up,
Yes.
we see increments in transportation, and everybody is like, cost of petrol is up, it's expensive to get fuel and all of that. That's why transportation has gone up. When it begins to drop, do we really see that decrease?
That's the same thing I'm saying.
So-
It's the same thing I'm saying.
It's the same thing I say with the dollar rate. Like, now the naira has been appreciating, and nobody's saying anything, and cost of stuff are still going up. I went to the I went to a supermarket yesterday to get stuff. It's still expensive. About, was it 2 weeks ago, I went there to get my antiperspirant, and I knew the actual amount. But and I also saw the amount on the shelf. I was like, that's how much it costs. So I went there, paid on the counter, went home. I was thinking it's that amount. So it was when I brought out the receipt when I wanted to discard it at home, and I looked again and I realized that it was not the initial amount I usually get this antiperspirant for, and what was written on the shelf I got it for. As a matter of fact, about 800 naira was added to it, and I'm like, what?
If you ask me, I think the cost of goods and services in the market has come to stay, notwithstanding how better things are going to be in
But it's
future.
terrible. You know why it's terrible?
terrible,
Because it's inhumanity of man to man. You know why I say that? Because when, for example, if the dollar starts appreciating to the naira, you hear it. Once you go to the market, now everybody will be quoting, dollar they go up, dollar they go up.
Yes.
But now that it's coming down, nobody is using that as an excuse. That so you go and get something, be like, it has reduced, and I'm like, yes, dollar is going down, or the naira is appreciating. Nobody's saying that. But once dollar goes up, so sometimes we actually have a problem, and that's why when I look at Nigeria, I always say that we are deserving of our leaders, because truth is, the average Nigerian, if they get an opportunity to be in power, they might even do much more than that political office holder that they are criticizing.
That's why they say change begins with me and you. It's not just our leaders. If you do things right, if I do things right from the little corner of my home, from my little business, then the leaders will be a little issue to tackle, because Ogaga, in your own way, you're doing right. In my own way, I'm doing right. If someone else has a mall, the person is doing right, putting the price as at when due, reflecting the times. So our leaders will be just a little thing to tackle. But a process whereby, because things are high, someone who owns a mall is taking advantage to add, let's say, an extra 1,200 to something that costs, let's say, 2,000, making it, let's say, 3,200. Someone now, like your antiperspirant now, they added over 800 naira. So when are we going to see a positive change? That's the question.
Okay, still talking about price hike. Now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has directed MultiChoice Nigeria, that's the operator of DSTV and GoTV, to maintain its current subscription prices pending the conclusion of an ongoing investigation into the company's proposed tariff adjustment. So, this month in February, MultiChoice Nigeria, they released a memo, price adjustment on DSTV and GoTV packages. And Nigerians were complaining, and they said that was to take effect from tomorrow, that is March 1. And I think that came, like, was it up to a week when after network providers announced?
It wasn't up to a week.
It wasn't up to a week. I mean, like, we are just trying to survive and wrap our heads around this telecoms tariff increase, and now we're having MultiChoice telling us this. Well, thank God that the FCCPC, they've come up and they heard the voice of Nigerians, and they're like, we need to look into this. And now MultiChoice Nigeria, they were supposed to have a meeting yesterday, February 27, but the management of MultiChoice requested that more time to sort out some things. So because of that, so the FCCPC directed that MultiChoice should leave their prices at status quo, because now asking for more time, and you've already released a memo that increment will take effect from March 1. Tomorrow is March 1.
Yes.
So don't go and exploit Nigerians. Meanwhile, we're giving you time. So they said they should maintain the status quo. What do you think generally about the increase? Because part of the reason MultiChoice stated was increased operational cost on them. So for them to keep running, they have to increase their packages, which in turn increases their revenue. So what do you think generally? Do you think it's a fair one, or you think that they shouldn't consider increments in the first place? They shouldn't have considered that.
I think the cost of living is hitting everybody.
Okay.
Is hitting companies. There was a time, I think last year or last 2 years, that some companies, pharmaceutical companies, had to leave this country because of cost of living, operations, and everything. In as much as I want to say that MultiChoice, the increase is unfair, I also want to play the devil's advocate by saying that you won't really blame them. cost of operations, they have staff to pay, maintenance, and the rest of them. So, but it's a good thing that FCCPC stepped in to make them see reasons why they should not increase this, and I thank God that they reasoned with them, because this is a case of two giants fighting and the ground suffering. Any increase made in the banking sector, food, agricultural sector, it just comes back to us. And the question is, how much is our minimum wage? By the time you receive your salary at the end of the month, you do all the pluses and minuses that are involved. You set out money for saving. Is there anything like money for saving at the end of the month? Or is that money that is even saving you? At the end of the month, you bring out money for unforeseen circumstances. That's if there is anything left. You find out that there's virtually nothing left of what you earn at the end of the month. So it's a really, really good thing that FCCPC had to step in to like plead and make them see reasons why there shouldn't be an increase. And I'm happy that they also reasoned with them and agreed.
No. MultiChoice has not really agreed yet because they've not had that meeting.
Okay, they've not had the meeting.
So what FCCPC is saying that since we've not had the meeting, because we're supposed to have the meeting yesterday, so to talk and look into it, the increments, if it's justified, or even if you want to increase, you consider an amount. It's just like what happened with the telecom situation. They initially requested for 100% increment, but Nigerians kicked against it. Then they implemented 50% increment. Then the NLC engaged the federal government, said it was unfair, and they talked about 35% increment, which has not yet been implemented, because if you check your core rate, it's still with the 50% increments, your text, your data and everything. So that is yet to be implemented. So I think that's what the federal government is calling for now. I don't think MultiChoice has agreed, and in all honesty, just like you stated, I don't think it would be fair for the federal government to even say MultiChoice should not increase. So I think it's the percentage now that is being considered. So that's what. So today have the meeting before we know if MultiChoice will stick with their current increment, because they've released a memo stating the new prices for different packages and all of that. So Nigerians are not okay with the price increment. So there might eventually be an increment with the current price on the current price, but it might not be as high as it used to, or they might not be at all, depending on the outcome of the meeting. So our last stop for this morning, just talking about some of the issues that played out during the week. Let's go to the Lagos State House of Assembly. Now, the impeached speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, has come out after, since he was impeached a couple of weeks ago, he has not turned up for sittings at the House of Assembly.
Sure.
But yesterday, he made his first appearance at the Lagos State House of Assembly, and he stated that he is still the speaker.
Yes.
So if he were to be here now and he heard me using that adjective, impeached, he will tell me that I'm wrong.
You're going to be having problems.
Because he's saying he's still the speaker, that he's not against impeachment, because if he's against that, then he's not a Democrat. But he's claiming that it wasn't done the right way, so he's still the speaker. And incidentally, this happened when he was walking around the Lagos State House of Assembly. Police officers were with him, and it so happened that the incumbent Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Miranda, her security details were withdrawn. And now I'm talking about Mojisola Miranda. Now the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State came out, Moshood Jimoh, he came out and he said that it was coincidental, because people are now speculating, like putting one and one together. Why is it that when Obasa wants to visit the House of Assembly, that's when Miranda's police officer security aides were withdrawn? And he said it's a regular thing that happens, and it's not just with her, it has happened with other top persons, that once in a while they call in these policemen attached to different political office holders for some questioning, examination, checking their arms and all of that. So he said it's a routine check with the police. But what do you think? Do you think that this is just a statement that was put out there, or you believe the Commissioner of Police of Lagos State?
The thing is, I don't even know who to believe. I just pray that they settle whatever issues they have between Obasa and Miranda, because the more that problem but he still came back. Do you get my point?
No.
And Miranda is still there. She has not tendered resignation or
Yes.
anything. Do you get my point? So it's like two captains in the ship. If problems are inevitable, so the more these problems still start, they are going to definitely have problems, even if they are cool with each other on personal grounds. Two captains cannot be in a ship. So the earlier they sort out this problem, the better for it. And Obasa, since he was impeached, why doesn't he just, keep calm and just play cool? He's still coming
He
back.
said it was not done the right way.
He said the impeachment was not done the right way. Then he should take the matter to court.
Mm-hmm.
No, it does it. If you feel like something is not done the right way, channel your complaint to the appropriate authorities, not you coming back now and saying, because it was not done the right way, I will still come back. Do you get my point? He may not have a personal beef or a personal issue or even an official issue with Miranda, but him still coming back now as the speaker, there's definitely going to be problems.
All right, we'll talk more on this during the paper's review, but right about now it's time for Safety Corner, and today's topic is on protection against sexual abuse and exploitation, and our guests are Trina Felix Ore and Stella Orakwe.
You're right here on Morning Right. We are the People's Right. That's what they call us on Delta's Television. Now, this moment, we are about to talk about something that happens to many people, and then just a few people talk about it afterwards. It's about sexual exploitation. Matter of fact, people really go through that and pretend to still be okay. But this morning, we have a gentleman and lady, men from the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State. I call them men. Did I say people from Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State? Or are you all referred to as men?
No, men and women.
Men and women. Okay, so I was wrong. Men and women. A man and a woman from Nigerian Red Cross Society, Delta State. It's good to have you. Trainer Ore Ehikoya Felix. You are the Disaster Management Coordinator, Delta State. I think I murdered your surname again. Because you gave me that look.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, good to have you right here. And then Orakwe Stella, focal person. But I want to say that this is her turf precisely because she's a focal person, protection against sexual exploitation and
protection and prevention against sexual exploitation and abuse.
oh,
Yes.
she's the focal person for that.
Yes.
And she's right here with us. And that is our conversation. Protection against Introductions are in order. Let's get straight to business. Our conversation this morning is protection against sexual exploitation and abuse. So, it's good to have you this morning. Lieutenant Ore Felix, good to have you.
It's good to be here once again, and good morning, Deltans.
And our focal person who is very much in charge of this turf, the lady herself, Orakwe Stella, good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, Deltans.
Okay.
Good morning.
You know, when I was doing my introduction earlier on, I said many people suffer sexual exploitation, but just a few people talk about it. I want the lady to explain fully whether I was wrong or right in that assertion, or indeed the way forward if that my assertion was true.
Yes, you are right. It's not sexual exploitation and abuse is not a topic that a lot of people are very comfortable talking about, majorly due to the stigma that comes with it, the exclusion and the discrimination within our society today. So it's a very sensitive topic, so you have a whole lot of people, rather than making reports when necessary, they tend to keep these things within
The
themselves.
family.
Sometimes even when they want to even make the complaints, they could be into keeping quiet by their family members or community members as to, oh, this could negatively affect your reputation. You know, so yes, you find a lot of people keeping quiet about.
Okay. What are some common signs or indicators of sexual abuse and exploitation that people should be aware of?
Okay, yes. There are signs to look out for. For adults, there are signs to look out for children. So let me address that of adults. Most commonly, you can see something like withdrawal, especially from a particular person. You know, you see certain people don't like to be around a particular person at every turn. Sometimes you can even see some aggressive behavior being directed towards a certain person. They usually have like mood swings. Sometimes you can even see some physical signs of it. You could see bleeding, you can see bruises, unexplained bruises, you know. And there are certain cases where you can, a person who otherwise was not financially stable, you begin to see an unexplained stream of income. That's also very common.
Oh.
Yes.
Because they're being paid to be
Yes, to be
quiet.
quiet,
quiet.
you know,
Okay.
depending on what sort of sexual acts. But when you say sexual exploitation and abuse, they both have their various definition. You have sexual abuse, you have sexual exploitation, you have sexual harassment.
Okay. Can you
I wa-
explain
yeah.
the difference?
Now, when we look at sexual exploitation, you're looking at, for instance, or job before, sex before job.
Okay.
People are looking for a job, and then you want to take advantage of them before giving them the job. People study in school to get good grades in their exams, and then you say before.
Okay, we're trying to differentiate between sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and sexual exploitation. So go ahead, Alright.
Now, when you now look at exploitation, we are looking at sex in return for humanitarian service, for grade, for job, just name it, and then these are channeled towards sex for this sex for what have you is what we call sexual exploitation or for humanitarian assistance. So you see these ones are exploitation. You're trying to exploit the person either because the person is vulnerable, the person is ignorant, or all that. And then when you look at sexual abuses, this falls within all genders anyway. It falls within all genders. So you see violence against women or men or children. These are abuses where you see people carrying out pedophilia acts, having sexual knowledge of minors. These are abuses. And then you know that even a married woman can be raped in her own home by her own husband, because sexual abuse here talks about anything that does not come, any sexual relationship or intercourse or what have you that does not come with consent. once consent is withdrawn, the person may even agree initially. You may start it initially and the person says stop. Once consent is withdrawn, and you fail to end it at that point, it becomes an abuse. And then when we look at harassment, harassment may be directly, may be indirectly.
Okay. Explain, please.
Sometimes you see people, colleagues, using words that are not sexually polite on people, that are sexually irritating on the opposite sex. For instance, you see somebody just coming to you and then either touching you directly or using words, and then the person you are using these words or you are touching in this particular unfriendly manner does not really want it. It becomes an harassment. So you now see that this three line, exploitation talks about sex in return for whatever you are giving, in favor for whatever you are giving, about either inflicting pain, violence on the person, and then harassment talks about either having direct contact or using verbal words that are not accepted by the victim.
Okay. Let's look at, because we have little time left for us, and this is a very, very broad topic. But let's look at how we can stop this act from being prevalent in society. Go ahead, Stella.
So, everything they say prevention is key in everything that we do. So, trying to curb this particular thing, it happens at every level. It happens from the household, community level, within work environments. It's very essential. Let's say, for example, the household, for instance. It is very important that parents or guardians are able to establish a very good relationship with their kids. Because when we talk about sexual exploitation and abuse, there's something called underreporting, where, like we said, people keep it to themselves. You see it very common in children when they are abused outside or harassed by, mostly it is usually people they trust that do this
within the family
you see, and they are actually threatened to keep quiet. Now, if a parent is able to have a good relationship with their child, establish that trust, it makes it easy for their children to be able to communicate with them,
flow with them. They see that trust.
Exactly. And it's also very important for parents. It's unfortunate that this is the reality we live in, that you begin to educate a child on what to look out for, what is appropriate behavior or not appropriate behavior for adults or persons your age. It is the reality we live in. It should not be so, but it is. So it's also important that at a very young age, you begin to explain to your child what is appropriate behavior for this uncle, for this auntie.
When you say at a very young age, what age precisely? This argument has been on for decades. What age did I start telling my son or daughter about?
I would say, as long as your child is able to communicate,
to speak. Once that child is able to communicate in words, that child should be able to know a private part.
Or his private part.
Or his or a private part, or when, where and where should be touched by anybody, how to sit publicly, how an uncle is supposed to relate with him or her, how an auntie is supposed to relate with him or her. So by the time they know this, that uncle will not just come and carry a 10-year-old girl or a girl who is just going through puberty ages or what have you. You just grab her and then harassing her, because most times you find out that the victims are unconscious of what is happening. The victims are unconscious of what is happening. So at this point, we were like Stella rightly said, we'll try as much as we can to ensure that we make the home a safe place where children at home will be able to communicate. At workplace, there should be code of conduct. There should be code of conduct for employees, for visitors, so that people know when sexual harassment, abuse, or exploitation is taking place. Most especially at the point of employing new or bringing in new employees. People should be able to detect it, and then there should be somebody that is responsible enough for us to communicate with. At the community level, community leaders must see it that the future of the community lies within the birth of the young ones. So when a child of 18 is already having 3 kids, that future is almost gone. So we must continue to sensitize people, carry out sensitization at the community level, even both at the faith-based organization. People must be sensitized.
Just to add, when we're talking about sexual abuse, we mentioned consent being key. Please understand that a child or children cannot give consent.
That's for adults.
So
even
talking
if the child
18
says
years,
yes, it's
no, a child cannot give you consent.
Who is a child? What
We're talking 18 years below.
Okay.
Cannot give you consent.
Okay, how does your organization collaborate with law enforcement agencies to handle cases of sexual abuse and exploitation?
Yes, the Red Cross, our major goal is to provide assistance to vulnerable people. And yes, we do have partnership with relevant organizations to respond to sexual exploitation and abuse cases. Within our society, our programs are designed and delivered in such a way that ensures that everybody is safeguarded. So when we have reporting channels that before we go into any community, we'll make sure that our personnel are properly trained on sexual exploitation and abuse. Sensitize the community, or that if our staff behaves in this way, in such way, these are places where you can make your complaints to. And when we pick up the complaints and it's directed to the appropriate person, we respond actively. We partner with organizations because there are certain services we might not be able to provide. So it is our job to refer to the qualified organizations that can provide these services, because these things are always planned in advance, referral pathways, to ensure that we are able to provide assistance and support to survivors of sexual exploitation.
I'll take that as a round-off. How about you, Trainer Ori?
In addition to her, we also do what we call sensitization. We do counseling. This counseling now gives room for behavioral change. And then the law enforcement agency, they take their appropriate part. We just want people to be conscious of the fact that sexual exploitation, harassment, and abuse is ongoing as we speak. Parents, guardians, should be vigilant.
Okay.
The future of our children is within our hands.
All right, thank you so much. Blessing, we're saying goodbye already this morning.
Yes.
Felix Ore and Stella Rako indeed did justice to the topic on our safety corner: protection against sexual abuse and exploitation. Of course, you know what sexual exploitation now is all about, and of course, if you didn't know before now, even ignorance is not an excuse in law. So do not demand, if you're in a place of position, do not demand sexual compensation of any sort in order to give anyone a favor. And also sexual abuse, be careful about that as well. Well, our next bus stop is paper review, and we will be considering a couple of dailies for today. We've got the Vanguard, Daily Independent, The Nation, The Guardian, The Punch, The Daily Times, New Telegraph, and Daily Trust. We start with the Vanguard newspaper. Lagos Assembly crisis. Obasa storms house with armed men, presides over four-man faction. We've got a couple of riders here. Arrives complex with armed police. Civil defense says, "I'm back." Police withdraw, return Miranda's security details. Another rider: 34 lawmakers stand with Miranda. Why policemen were withdrawn from Miranda, orders VIPs, and this is a statement credited to the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State. State of the nation: leaders, followers responsible for Nigeria's woes. And this is a statement credited to Fubara, Daniel, Adams, and others. I totally agree with this. Electricity business. Electricity. Business owners, CSOs kick as FG plans another tariff hike. The rider: government can no longer pay subsidies, and this is coming from the minister. Another hike. ECOWAS: exit of Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali disrupting security framework, and this is coming from the air chief. Some more headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. Abductors of Makurdi Varsity female students demand 40 million naira ransom. You can get details of that story on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. In sports, Super Eagles can't do well without Lukman. Simon. This is coming from Rock. To the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper. Pencom slams 14 billion naira fine on 911 employers for late pension remittance. We are not ashamed to copy what works in Porter clients. This is coming from the President, Tinubu. Sultan urges Muslims to look for Ramadan crescent from today. Diplomats seek visa ban for erring public servants in Rivers, Osun, Benue. And lastly, from the Vanguard newspaper, new petrol price reduction. Buy from our partners, retails, outlets nationwide at the following prices. And you can see the table there with some of the Dangote partners and the prices which they have approved for PMS to be sold.
All right, moving on to the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. The screaming headline here says, electricity tariff, customers outside Band A to pay more as federal government plans fresh review. Federal government plan to tax free trade zones, put foreign investment at risk. Fear of job cut made us allow 50% telecom tariff hike. This is coming from the federal government. Lagos Assembly crisis. Betrayal, erosion of democratic principles. This is coming from Atiku. FAAC, federal government, states, local governments share 1.703 trillion naira January revenue. Airlines, ground handling COIs settle for 15% reduction in handling rates. NDIC seeks legal collaborations in bank liquidation and others. I'm back as Lagos Assembly Speaker. I was never impeached. This is coming from Obasa. And lastly, looking at the Daily Independent newspaper, it says fuel crisis averted as Ipman suspends planned strike and negotiations.
Moving on to the Nation newspaper. The lead here says, Obasa, I remain Lagos Speaker. Got 3 riders, the first lawmakers reject return. Lagos APC promises quick resolution. And lastly, CP explains police action. Disco's failure to invest drawback to electricity supply, says Minister. And the rider, $2 billion attracted to sector last year. Telecom tariff hike necessary to save jobs, sustain economy. You can get details of that on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Federal government to clear pension backlog in 3 months. That will be very, very commendable. Natasha seeks transparent investigation by Senate panel. Glo slashes call rates to all networks, retains bonus. Yes, I got this message yesterday. And at the top strip of the Nation newspaper, you can find the new petrol price reduction table as put out by Dangote Petroleum Refinery.
Alright, Daily Trust newspaper is the next newspaper for review. The screaming headline here says, Lagos Assembly crisis, Obasa, Miranda claims speakership. Ousted leader resumes, presides over plenary with 4 members. 36 legislators insist removed speaker gone. Impassive betrayal of democracy, says Atiku. At the bottom strip, it says, after 21 months, Buhari relocates from Daura to Kaduna. ACF, Nasima, CAC re-echo concerns over tax reform bills. Band B customers not paying enough for electricity. This is coming from the minister. And lastly, it says Sultan urges traders to reduce food prices ahead of Ramadan.
The Guardian is next, and the lead here says, war against fake drugs. How systemic inefficiency, complicity aid multi-trillion naira illicit trade. And you can find that on big story pages 4 and 5. And there's also a photo speak to that effect. You see the MD of NAFDAC, and she's trying to push down a truck carrying fake drugs, basically. At Reps hearing, federal government rules out inheritance tax in reform bills. NANS, Action Aid demand release of kidnapped Benue University students. Mass wedding, Kirby pays 54 million naira as bride price for 300 couples. I still can't wrap my head around why states will be funding weddings for couples. Statutory revenue rises by 622.1 billion naira as federal government. States, LGAs share 1.70 trillion naira. Chaos, confusion trail claims to Lagos Assembly speakership. Federal government to review electricity tariffs for Band B, C customers as subsidy hits 4 trillion naira. You can get that on page 6, details of that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And Obasanjo, 7 ex-leaders seek debt relief for African countries. And lastly, from the Guardian newspaper, Air Force investigates as officer kills 1, injures 2 in Kaduna.
The Punch newspaper is next with the major headline here that says, I am loyal to Tinubu, but my actions are mine. This one is accredited to Obasa. The writer to this story says, ex-speaker takes over assembly with 4 lawmakers. Miranda's fate uncertain. 36 lawmakers kick. At the top strip, it says NLC shelves protest as subscribers welcome 35% tariff hike. I rejected 500 million naira gift during my mother's burial. This is coming from EFCC chair. Natasha threatens to expose Akpabio as group petition Senate. At the bottom strip, it says, Ramadan, Sultan alerts Muslims on moon. Bauchi, Kebbi schools shot. Driver handed Oyo copper to kidnappers. This is coming from the sister. And Nigerian passengers stranded in Togo after Air France flight diversion. And lastly, we see the new petrol price reduction from Dangote and how it's been implemented in different states.
Okay, moving now to the Daily Times. The lead here says, controversy trails Obasa dramatic return as Lagos Assembly Speaker. Majority lawmakers back Miranda. Food security. Federal government to establish soil testing laboratories in 774 local government areas. Chief of Army Staff increases troops feeding allowance from 1,500 naira to 3,000 naira. Get details of that on page 5 of the Daily Times. FCT, IRS, 25.2 billion naira in 2024, records 43.8 billion naira in January. Police presence at Emir Bayero's palace remains heavy as tension mounts. To the top strip of the Daily Times, federal government will review electricity tariff for band A, B, C customers. And lastly, from the Daily Times, FAC shares 1.703 trillion naira January revenue, up 19.69%.
The New Telegraph newspaper is next with a major story here that says, Lagos Assembly crisis. I am back as Speaker. I was on vacation. This is accredited to Obasa. Presides over plenary with 4 lawmakers. Says Miranda stepped down during peace meeting. Ex-Speaker supporters break into Miranda's office. Obasa, not our Speaker. This is coming from 36 lawmakers. Lagos police restore Miranda's security detail. Crisis, erosion of democracy. This is coming from Atiku. At the top strip, we see, look for new Ramadan moon today. This is coming from the Sultan to Muslims. Threats, fortify security around NAFDAC, EFCC DG, Afenifere tells federal government. Federal government plans to regularize electricity tariffs. Igbo American military veterans petition Tinubu and demand Kanu's release. At the bottom strip, it says FAAC resolves logjam rather, shares 1.703 trillion naira to federal government, states, local governments, as well as January revenue. AGF uploads February salary. 2027, Nigerians need to break cycle of poor leadership, passive followership. This is coming from Fubara. PDP rejects report of Wiki-backed South Zonal Congress. Veteran actor Jenny Hackman and wife found dead in their home. Religious crisis looms in Anambra as native doctors set to name fake pastors rather. I'll take that again. Religious crisis looms in Anambra as native doctors set to name fake pastors. ICPC seeks media cooperation in fight against corruption. And lastly, one sleepless night damages the immune system. This is a study.
Alright, it's time now for us to head back to the studio. And of course, joining us today is an analyst in the person of Ogena Ndoku. Good morning and welcome, Ogena. It's good to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning again.
Good morning. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
All right, so let's jump right in. Let's begin with one headline that was all over the dailies, talking about the drama that played out at the Lagos State House of Assembly yesterday. And this is how the Punch puts it, uh, or rather, the New Telegraph. The way the New Telegraph puts it, says Lagos Assembly crisis. I'm back as Speaker. I was on vacation, and this is credited to Obasa. And he went further to say, and the riders presides over plenary with 4 lawmakers. Says Miranda stepped down during peace meeting. I don't know if that peace meeting was ever made public. Maybe I missed it. But maybe when you talk on this, you tell us. Then ex-speaker supporters break into Miranda's office. I think that's terrible. Obasa's not our speaker. 36 lawmakers. So now the Lagos State House of Assembly has about 40 members now. 36 are supporting Miranda. Then before, and Obasa actually held his speaking, and he's sitting. Then Lagos police restore Miranda's security detail and crisis erosion of democracy, says Atiku. So what's your take generally, considering what's playing out, and Obasa alleging that Miranda stepped down for him during a peace meeting?
Okay, this just shows the level of politics in Nigeria in a nutshell. So there was a sitting that was held in the Lagos State House of Assembly that determined Miranda as the new speaker. He first impeached Obasa as the incumbent speaker and put Miranda as the new speaker. So the back and forth between both parties, the 36 lawmakers that have been supporting Miranda ever since she assumed the office, and the 4 loyal people to Obasa. So everyone has been playing their politics in the kind of way that they've been infringing on some rights. Now, Miranda's security aid was removed. How would that happen in a normal clime? How was that supposed to happen? No one knows. So, like I said, this just shows the level of the political system in Nigeria and how underdeveloped, in my point of view, it is.
Okay, so talking about the security details now, the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Moshood Jimoh, he actually gave reasons for that. He said it was a routine security check, and it's not just with the speaker that they do it with top government officials. Once in a while, they call in their police personnel and do a routine check with them. So that's what played out in his opinion. What does this rancor? Because you have to understand that Obasa is APC, Miranda is APC. What does this tell about the APC in Lagos State? Do you believe that there are skirmishes between Obasa, the governor, and some persons? There are also allegations that the president is supporting Obasa and all of that. So do you think that that is the situation? What do you make of the political situation of the APC party?
All right, and just like in every other party, there are factions. These factions are as a result of indifferences or differences in opinions of those party members, especially in regards to the direction the party wishes to take. So Lagos has always been a type of one-party state. So with this rancor in their decision making, it's just something to point out now to say Obasa has been here for over a decade. He has been speaker for over a decade, and with Miranda as his deputy. So if 36
Okay, looking at the Punch newspapers, it says consumer cake as federal government plans fresh power tariff hike. And then when you look at the Guardian newspaper, it says federal government to review electricity tariff for band B and C customers as subsidy hits 4 trillion naira. Now, from the inception of this band A, band B, and band C, there's been lots of problems from the beginning. You know, because some will say we pay more, we don't have light. Some will say oh, there's no light at all in our areas, even after being charged. You know, there's not been a solidified regulation in all of the bands. So what's your take on it? Is it that they should scrap the band and let everybody just be on a unified band, or just what's your take?
Okay, yesterday the Minister of Power came out and made these statements claiming that the government might, is still under deliberation, they might have to increase the tariffs for the band B and band C users. So if you look at how everything was structured, the strata, band A they pay the highest, which means they get to have the most of the electricity that comes in. Band B and C are most of the ones under that subsidy. So now they are saying the federal government can no longer afford those subsidies now, with the fall of the economy, the rising cost of operations and all that. So if this is how it is, if this is the truth, if you can take everything at face value, then it's not so bad to, while trying to reduce the subsidy from the government angle, trying to get the consumers to pay for this now. But the caveat now that if they are going to be paying more, then there has to be more electricity that will go into their homes. They need to have more electricity to carry out their businesses, to power their homes, and it's just getting payment, getting due reward for the payments they are putting in. So if you have to pay for electricity, you should get more electricity.
But won't this affect cost of living? Because at this point, most people in different bands are complaining that they pay more already, but they don't even get light, and they are planning to increase this tariff on electricity. Won't it affect cost of living? Because already there are lots of expenses to deal with, and they are now coming to increase this. Are there not modalities put in place to, let's say, consider the masses? That the masses are finding it difficult to survive, and the rest of that.
Okay, in every other clime, you have to pay for your resources. You have to pay for everything that you are going to be using in furtherance of your business or in just getting regular comfort in your home. I don't think any Nigerian would prefer buying fuel for their generators over just having electricity. You understand? So now the Minister of Power has come out and said one of the reasons why you can't have good light or stable electricity now is because the subsidies we're paying are too much. If you can help us by lessening that load, by increasing the cost of electricity, then let's do that. So the thing now is, if you are going to increase the price of electricity for the band B and band C users, you should also be able to promise them a level of increase in the electricity that they will be getting. So that's my point on that. Everything at the end of the day might have to increase in price, but there should also be increase in efficiency from the point of the electricity generators.
So, but my own concern is, if when the government, they are claimed to have been paying subsidies for electricity, and they are using their money, they are still they still play the supervisory role. So now they've been using their money and there has not been power supply, and now they want to pull out those points. You now think it's when the common man is bearing the cost. I mean, the government has been claiming to bear the cost, and there has not been sufficient power supply. They didn't do anything about it. They couldn't do anything about it, and they felt like the best thing to do is even to pull out their funds. How much more now when the common man is not the one paying this bill? Okay, what is the guarantee that we will have better electricity supply?
Okay, the federal government now is not threatening to pull out their fund. They can't pull out their fund because at the end of the day, it's still their infrastructure, even though I think 2/3 of it have been privatized now. They're not pulling out their funds. They're just saying the subsidies are too heavy for them to bear.
So the subsidies, not government funds?
It's government funds. They're not pulling it out. They're saying, okay, the masses can help to augment it. It's not going to be a problem on its own if the electricity companies can ensure that electricity gets to the offices and the homes of the masses. You understand? So getting them to eventually pay a little for this is not a bad thing, provided that this electricity is being generated.
So now my question is, who enforces and who ensures that these discos make electricity available? Who's supposed to do that? It's not the government, because it's the government that gave these discos the deals now.
It's the federal government.
Yeah.
You know, the federal government now is just involved in the generation. They've privatized the distribution of electricity.
Yeah, the disco
So
scheme.
exactly. So if you listen to the rumors, they are not substantiated, by the way, that what the nation generates, about 15 or 20% is only, like, they only distribute about 15 or 20% of the electricity that is generated. You understand? So it kind of looks like they've done their part. There is not just enough companies to distribute those electricity out now. So when they are saying they are going to reduce subsidies, is money coming out of their pockets? They are trying to reduce and get to the masses to pay. If there is no guarantee that the electricity will be improved for the masses, that would be where the problem will come from.
I don't think there's guarantee, but let's move away from that. This headline coming out from the Punch newspaper. NLC shelves protest as subscribers welcome 35% tariff hike, and this has to do with the telecom. Okay, so what do you think? Subscribers welcome 35%. So I believe you and Perpetual have welcomed the 35%.
Who are the subscribers? I was about to ask you, who are the subscribers that welcome the 35% hike?
No, we've not welcomed that. And personally, I think it hits me a lot because I consume a lot of data. I just wrap my head around paying about 50 to 60,000 per month. I'm not going to mention the telecommunication company I use, but I use about 50 to 60,000 on data per month, and it's still not enough. Only to find out now that they plan to increase it by 100%. It's sure they did. They came out and increased by 100%.
50%.
No, the telecommunication companies increased by 100 before federal government countered and brought it down to 50%. Now NSC threatened to strike, and as a result of that threat, they came into a meeting with the federal government and agreed 35%. So now that strike has been called off. I still don't know. I've not been able to do my calculations to see where that puts.
No, that 35% they've not affected it.
It's not affected yet.
It has not been affected.
Okay, but it's still 50%.
And even some data plans, they haven't beyond 50%.
Yes. So I think after the meeting, so all this will be married and resolved. I hope it has to, because just as important as the electricity is to the masses, so also is data. We can't do anything without data
at all.
So,
all right, that's much we can take for today. Thank you so much, Ogen Nauduku, for your analysis. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's the Friday's edition of the Morning Ride here on Delta Television. We'll be going for a break, and when we return, it will be time for our interview segment. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. It's time now for an interview segment where we'll be delving into the critical issue of waste management and its profound impact on public health. As our communities grow, the challenge of managing waste becomes even more urgent. Poor waste disposal practices can lead to environmental contamination, the spread of diseases, and long-term health problems for populations. Today we explore how effective waste management not only keeps our surroundings clean, but plays a vital role in safeguarding public health. Stay with us as we uncover the connections between waste management practices and their effects on the well-being of individuals and communities. And to help us unpack all of this is our guest, who is a lecturer with Admiralty University and also an entrepreneurship facilitator and business owner, in the person of Mr. Augustine Okolobi, and he will be shining the spotlight on the topic healthy environments, healthy lives, the impact of waste management on public health. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Okolobi.
Good morning, Mr. Okolobi.
Good morning. It's good to have you.
You too.
Yes, so now the topic healthy environments, healthy lives, the impact of waste management on public health. Let's start by you telling us what waste management is all about.
Okay. Basically, when we talk about waste management, we are talking about proper dispose of waste, and that leads us to understanding that we have different types of waste. We have the bio waste, we have the normal plastic waste, we also have the degradable waste like the food waste in our kitchens and all that. And if we're diving into the management of waste, most of this waste can be recycled, and so that is why the management of waste is very important, because recycling them, they can come to use or be useful to us in different aspects. For example, most of our kitchen waste, which are degradable easily, they can be converted to bio waste. And this biogas, for example, and this biogas can be used to power our electricity, give us light. It can also be used to power our cooking energy like gas. Then when we talk about the plastic waste is having a lot of challenge because it does not degrade easily. That means it stays over time. And that plastic waste, we can also recycle it by using it for several alternatives. For example, your plastic bottles, you can cut them short and use them for your brushes, to hold your brush in your, or put your brush in your bedrooms and toilets and other useful items. So some of your plastic plates or bowls, you can use them to preserve foods and other items. So what we are just talking about when we talk about a proper waste disposable system or management, we are talking about how you dispose your waste. Now, if you notice in our homes generally, we have one dustbin or trash can for everything. You want to throw away paper, you throw it inside that trash can. You want to throw away food, you throw it inside the same trash can. You want to dispose plastic inside that trash can. So when we talk about proper waste management, we're trying to tell individuals, citizens, to actually adapt a proper way to dispose their waste. You can have separate disposable bins for separate waste. This will help us recycle some of the waste, to use them and properly dispose others. Like the presenter just said, waste is now becoming a problem to the society generally. Like if you pass the main road or the roadside, you see where they dump huge waste at the center of the road. If you go towards, as if you're living at Sabah, approaching Oko towards Onitsha, you find lumps of waste and these things start smelling. So what's the problem there? The problem is there's no proper waste management, and this waste needs to be disposed properly, because at the end of the day it becomes hazardous to our health. How? You can't stay in a place where you have polluted air and you don't fall ill. You can't stay in an environment where you have excess dirt and you feel comfortable. So proper waste management system can simply be defined or said to be a proper way to dispose your waste. And also, if you notice what's happening, a lot of individuals in their homes, they no longer have or registered with the registered disposing companies. You see some people wait at night, they throw waste on the main road, they throw waste in their environment. And this can lead to diseases such as cholera outbreak, which is not healthy for humanity. So why we're talking about this proper waste disposable system is that so that we can adopt it in our homes, not because we want to, because it is necessary. Another aspect we talk about, you can see the global warming today. You can see if you step out of the house, you feel hot. These are also implication of improper disposable waste. Why do I say so? And we need it. And by tackling it, we have to start by adopting a proper waste disposable system. Thank you.
Okay, now you talked about, you've explained elaborately. You did not just define what waste management is. It's all about you. Explain. Yeah. Okay, it's over. I'm even tempted to call you a teacher, not just a lecturer.
Exactly.
But now you mentioned some categories of waste. You talked about the bio waste,
Yes.
plastic waste,
Yes.
and degradable waste. And you also mentioned that you inferred that there should be different trashing methods for each of them.
Yes.
So
Different
can
waste.
you shed more light on what bio waste is all about, so
Okay.
that someone will know what you are classifying as bio waste? I think plastic waste is a no-brainer.
Yes.
Then degradable waste. So let us know the different categories, explain them, and how we can properly trash them.
Okay, I think when we talk about bio-waste, we are talking about waste that can actually degrade and become turned into biogas. For example, if you've noticed, even the average human being, you sitting here, your fat is actually a bio-waste. Exactly. Your food, when they degrade, degrading means decay, get spoiled. They emit this biogas. Now, if you go to civilized cities or civilized nations, you find out that a lot of them have a central sewage system, not like we that have a sockaway where your excretes go to. Now, these sockaways we have at our homes cooked and converted to our biogas. So why I call them bio-waste is the gases that emit from this waste, even our dustbin, whenever you go close, if you're very vigilant about the dustbin, you find out you start seeing some emissions. They are not fully clear, but it's like smoke, steam coming from that place. Those are biological process going on there. That means that place, a degradation is taking place there. And that degradation actually is wasting, because in places where we have good technology, good systems to trap and cap these biogases, it can also be used for energy system, cooking energy, fueling energy, and for light energy. Now, like we said here, why do we need this energy system? You could see we are facing high costs of cooking gas, high cost of petrol, and so on. So if we have good technology, which most countries are adapting to, our bio waste such as, or degradable waste such as our remnant foods, our excrete, can now be converted to energy of different kind for us. Then that's why I expounded on this, is because the degradable waste are food waste, their end result becomes biogas. And the bio waste I'm talking of, they are biological waste such as foods, all them foods, trees, plants, because when they drop or when they die, they get to degrade, they get to go back. Some end up becoming manure, some end up becoming for manure for plants to grow. So you could see that most living things, apart from man, both plants and food, once they degrade, they are supposed to be used alternatively. But because of the level of understanding here, we call them waste. Nothing any longer is waste again. If you see these, what do they call these people? The scavengers, iron benders, the plastic hustlers now. You could see that we are even having companies or young ones designing waste management systems. They are now collecting plastics. They are now collecting irons, aluminium. And if you check what's happening, because they now sell it to companies who can actually recycle them into a different product. If you check some products you buy in plastics or in metal, you find out they'll tell you recycled. The reason why is these things can function for us. Anything can be waste. With time, these your tables, these your chairs, they will get bad, you get new ones. But instead of tossing them off, these woods, they can come handy in future. Then when we talk about having different waste bin, I already threw light on that, but I would like to do the same again. Now, for example, death is a messy thing in the house. And that's why if you notice, you on your own, you have a waste bin in your kitchen, you have a waste bin in your room, you have a waste bin either in your sitting room or at the corridor. The reason is if you were to throw the kitchen waste, like your food waste, the vegetable, maybe spoiled food, in the waste bin in your room or the restroom, you won't be able to stay there, right? Even if you leave it for a while in the kitchen, the smell becomes irritating. But what we found out is, or why we're throwing this light is, most people don't even care how they dispose their waste. And not only because in the house, outside the house, because those waste in your house, you take them out. If you pass some neighborhood, some street, you find liters of nylon, liters of food waste. This is because in the house, they just have one bin system, or in the compound, so they throw everything in the bin, and at the end of the day, they go to dispose it in the central bin. And the people coming to pack it, or the company coming to pack everything, if these companies don't pack them properly, they litter on the floor and they end up becoming bad for the environment, like they smell a lot. So you need different waste systems so that you can throw your plastic, throw your food elsewhere, and throw other items somewhere else. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to ask things like hazardous waste, like electronics, batteries, extensions, get them because you don't need it. But in the environment where you've disposed it, most especially batteries, you find that spoiled batteries has this liquid that comes out of it. So how do we properly dispose these electronics so that they don't become a hazard to others,
Yeah, that like we were just saying now, for example, let's say you have your kitchen bin and probably you have kids at home or your spouse are with you, and you instruct them that please can we restrict this the kitchen bin to just food or degradable waste, and probably in the sitting room and in the rooms you can your children or your spouse that if batteries get damaged, why not we tie them properly in a nylon bag and dispose them properly. Now for the juice or the chemical that comes out of it, it's not even good for our soil. Yes, it's not good.
Wow.
And for kids around, like you said, now you can have batteries just tossed in your house. If you check some apartments, it's always like that. Once you have batteries, you just fling them. But the point is, you can have kids that will play with that, and that liquid will dent the kids' hand. And children, they might decide to touch their lips or lick it, and that will become a serious problem for that. For hazardous waste, very important for us to properly dispose them, like batteries and electronics. Even the shawl we use, the body spray, yes, the deodorants, those containers, they are explosive.
Yes, I was going to go there.
They are
So
explosive.
if someone decides, people that tend to burn their waste themselves,
Yes.
if they do that.
When you throw such waste to the general bin and they want to burn it, you notice that over time, even bottles, you see them explode. Boom, boom. The reason is that such waste are not supposed to be burned in the first place. Such waste are supposed to be disposed properly. Then the companies who are into waste disposal will sort this out. And that's why if you're going towards Ibuzo Asaba, Asaba Ibuzo or Washugu Road, you find the Delta State Waste Management system or company there by the left, I think. Now what you notice is when these companies take this waste from this place to that place, then the experts, the employees there will start sorting the waste out. They know the right one to burn, they know the proper ways to actually dispose or destroy this waste. But the average citizens will just put them in the dustbin, burn them. So we're just trying to reach out to the public to have a proper waste disposable management system. Thank you.
Okay, now talking about the healthy environment. Now you've talked about how wastes can be managed and how we should go about it. So can you now start talking about the impact of not aligning with proper waste management? Because some persons can feel like, it's not just waste. Why are you speaking so much English? So you expect me to sort this. Like, even some people, they find it weird that you are even breaking it down. I want to believe that. They find it weird that you're breaking that you have more than one waste bin in your kitchen, your living room, your this, that, and like, so can that viewer there understands the impact of not properly managing their waste?
Well, one of the negative effect of poor waste management system is air pollution. Now, air pollution, it's not something we welcome. For example, if you're going towards Obogonogo, you'll find out that the air changes down there. The smell is different. You start perceiving waste smell. And why is it not good? This air pollution might lead to cholera. Cholera is not an illness that is welcome in a society because it's also airborne. So which means it can be spread and is also waterborne disease. It can spread from one person to the other. So when we talk about negative effect of improper waste disposable system, it comes back to us humanity. One, it also, another example is it has negative effect on the environment. For example, you can see littering the environment. A dirty environment is not a welcome environment. Minus the air pollution, you can see by the side of the roadside. I always use Obogonogo for example, and also if you're heading towards Kuka, you find dirty nylon littering everywhere, the atmosphere having offensive smell. Now, this is not just because of the smell alone. This is the smell. We consume this air by breathing it. So this air is already polluted. So it has negative effect on our body. This can lead to health challenges for us. So that's why I want us to understand that first, the environment needs to be clean for us to be stable as human beings, for us to be healthy. A dirty environment is not somewhere anybody will want to stay. For example, your studio is well clean and it's smelling well. That's why all of us can be comfortable here. The same can be applicable to our homes and our environment. The reason why it's healthy, your environment needs to be healthy also. Thank you.
Okay, so looking at waste management in relation to public health, what are some of the effective strategies that one can use in enforcing that, in enforcing or in making sure that people keep their environment clean?
Well, when we talk about keeping our environment clean, everybody, all hands must be on deck. And why we're saying all hands must be on deck is the fact that your health is your wealth. You've heard of that quote? Mm-hmm. Now, it's a personal responsibility thing, and we start from homes. Families in the society makes up every part of the government, the communities, the society. So first and foremost, the responsibility mentality is one of the most important aspects. When we raise our children or we spend time with our spouse or our family members, our friends, the practice has to be personal, because people learn from seeing. You must take it upon yourself first to always abide by staying in a proper environment. For example, if you drink water, either sachet or bottle, you should have the proper practice of properly disposing it. You don't just fling such thing out of your... That's very essential. It must start from us first as individuals, because it's our responsibility. If you fall ill, you'll be the one to treat yourself. If your kids are ill, you'll be the one to spend that money. So the practice first is personal. Secondly, I think organizations and individuals, organizations and other parastatals should look into it. For example, I'm from Admiralty University of Nigeria. What we do, we already have a community service learning course, and during this our community learning courses, we always make sure that students identify problems and challenges. Now, for the past 5 years we've started this program, we've done two, this is our 5th year, we've done 2 proper waste disposable systems. I think 2 years ago we did one where we had to clean Iguzo Ashike market. we cleaned Obogonogo Market, we also cleaned Ogwashuku General Hospital. The students also sensitized them concerning proper waste disposable system and healthy hygiene. And we donated cleaning equipment like dustbins, brooms, mop, and cleaning agencies to them. That's our own contribution to pushing proper waste management system and healthy environment. Even this year also, we have a program which we are concluding today. We are also doing the same thing also. We made public health very important for us, that we made accessibility to hospital equipment to Imuzo General Hospital, Ogwashuku General Hospital, and waste equipment also. So what we are saying is institutions to wake up, parastatals should wake up, but the most important is organization and individuals. Individuals need to wake up and take this waste disposable system personal. And finally, when we talk about policies, we all know in Nigeria that policies has to do with the government. And the government will always make policies. And if you notice also, there are policies because we have environmental days. Now we need the policies enforcers to make sure that these environmental days are actually upheld. The practices are done. But like you know, government will put policies, enforcer will enforce, but individual will is what is ultimate. So we are appealing to citizens, families, to adopt the responsibility mentality when it comes to proper waste management or waste disposal system.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's okay to leave it at that. You've said a whole lot this morning on healthy environments, healthy lives, the impact of waste management on public health. Thank you very much, Mr. Augustine Okolobi, a lecturer from Admiralty University and an entrepreneurship facilitator and business owner. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. Perpetua, before we go.
I'll borrow some of what Mr. Okolobi said. So health is wealth. Keep your environment clean. Happy new month in advance.
All right, that's it on today's episode of The Morning Right. Thank you so much for being with us. It's the last day of the month of February. It's about 2 months down in the year 2025. So if you have set goals for the year and you are yet to get to it, now is the time to start. On behalf of the production crew, it is I, Ogaga Ikama, thanking you so much for your time. See you next week.